A bunch of people in my comments were talking about about this thing that was in that birthday book and about how this is Mar-a-Lago, right? I remember yesterday I was commenting about how this was on the island and they're like, no, this is Mar-a-Lago. This is Mar-a-Lago. And it's like, yeah, dude, it really is. Like, I got so focused on the nuts and bolts of this, I never even looked at that. Like, there's some deep level connection with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and a lot of other powerful people. Could somebody have done this to try and change the trajectory of this whole thing to make this other thing become more important? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. It's so hard to tell. I know though that the Epstein scenario is deep. Okay, it is high level. The Epstein shit, okay? The entire government conspired to give Epstein immunity. If we look at this, this is the birthday book. This happens in the Friends section. It's after Jean-Luc Brunel, 𝗙𝗪𝗏, Bill Elkus. This is, I believe, Jean-Luc. Then there's somebody Mitchell. Then there's the animal shit. This is Dear Jeffrey. This is Joel. And then it jumps into Joseph Pagano. But I'm assuming this is the Joel guy, right? Was it Joel? We don't know who signed it. It's like not signed. But if you go and look at the table of contents and you see under the friends, there's a 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀, right? 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀, Joe Pagano. Okay. So if we look at 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀, Joel was holding the check. Okay. It says the cartoon about massages, a drawing showing Epstein receiving balloons from young girls. Now, I didn't get the impression that he was receiving balloons from young girls. I got the impression quite the opposite, that Epstein was giving the balloons to young girls, right? Because look, the girl's reaching for the balloons. He wasn't receiving them, he was giving them. But, so it says the proximity of this to a man named Joel led to unconfirmed speculation that he might be the artist. And I mean, there was the page before it that said Joel. So we don't really know. I don't know who drew that cartoon. Right here, it says, drawing shows Epstein giving young girls balloons. That's what I saw it as too, that he was giving them. One of the most striking images in the collection is a drawing of him handing young girls balloons and a lollipop labeled as 1983 alongside another drawing of him receiving a massage from topless women labeled as 2003. One of the women has Epstein's initials tattooed on her bottom, which is right there. The image shows a private jet with the same tail number as Epstein's Lolita Express, which was at the center of the sex trafficking case filed against him. And it also shows Mar-a-Lago, okay? It shows Mar-a-fucking-Lago right there. If you look at Mar-a-Lago, you see how it has that terrace up there? It's like one of those Mediterranean archway with skinny pillar terraces. That is a crazy view of what looks like fucking Mar-a-Lago. All right? Now, the only thing I couldn't really square when looking at this, if you look at this imagery, okay, if we look at Mar-a-Lago, it's got the roofs, it's got the fucking terraces here. The one thing that I couldn't really square on the image is, I guess, this little peak, but that sort of looks like a building behind it. It is definitely not Epstein's place on the island. If you look at Epstein Island, okay, Epstein Island was a one-story place. Okay, if you look at the main house on Epstein Island, look at this image, okay? This is the Epstein Island house, guys. If you look at it, it is a one-story place. It's not big. It has some archways and shit, but that is not... It's also white. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you look at this, I mean, I guess it's kind of white, right? But this looks like multiple stories, looks like 3 stories, which is definitely more like a Mar-a-Lago, right? It's hard to gauge because it's like shaded, but it does look like it has the color of that thatched roof, right? That clay shingle roof. You know what I'm saying? And this is a blue roof. It is not a clay tile. Okay, Mar-a-Lago has that Spanish looking or Italian, it's more Italian looking clay tile. And that is definitely the dark reddish clay tile. His roof there was, blue. It is definitely a multi-story. Now, when you say, why is it Mar-a-Lago and not Epstein's Island, is really interesting because it's implying that this kind of shit was going on at Mar-a-Lago. That Mar-a-Lago, for better or for worse or for whatever, was part of the epicenter of this fucking scenario. You know what I mean? That's where the spa was. I mean, and now Virginia Giuffre, she was recruited from Mar-a-Lago in 2000, which would be 3 years before this. So there's an implication here with this drawing that, like, this whole thing and all these women and whatever, what a great country, is obviously talking about, America. What a great country, Mar-a-Lago, right? This is fucking crazy shit, bro. And I'll be honest, I didn't notice this. Like, I got so hamstrung on the balloons for the little girls and this that I didn't even notice the Mar-a-Lago thing. Now, I know 𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏, I guess, did a video about this. See, here's what's crazy, is when I was making my thumbnail, I was debating whether to put this on my thumb. Like, how will YouTube react to this? So I started going on YouTube, looking at everybody who made a video about this to see if they were putting this on the thumbnail. Like, was YouTube pinging it? Was their shit getting, like, low views or whatever? And I noticed 𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏's thumb had a circle around this and blown up with just that building. But I didn't even think about it because my focus was on the massages, the young girls, the creepy aspect, especially this shit of him giving balloons to these kids, right? Now, what ended up happening is later I was like, oh, everybody in my comments yesterday was like, that's Mar-a-Lago, that's Mar-a-Lago. They all watched the 𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏 video and I was like, oh, that's why he did that. But if you look at Epstein's house in Florida, it was white, 2-story, and it didn't have any of those patios. His Palm Beach home did not look like that at all. It's a white roof. It's surrounded by trees. It had some, air conditioning units and shit and a little patio up above by the pool. But for the most part, it was not a red roof like that. This was a pretty standard, like, not super fancy house. You know what I mean? I mean, it was nice, but Epstein's house wasn't really ritzy. But this definitely looks like Mar-a-Lago. It absolutely 100% looks like Mar-a-Lago. We could probably find an exact image of it, but the roofing is definitely Mar-a-Lago. But so again, we don't really know who drew this. I mean, if you look at it, it comes between the Dear Jeffrey, Happy 50th, Joel, and there's some drawings of some women in, like, suggestive positions, showing their boobs, kicking up her leg. It's a mermaid, but with her butt up in the air, right? The balloons and the cake and a plane. And then it's got Jeffrey's Lolita Express, him giving balloons 20 years ago, him being massaged, Mar-a-Lago. And then there's the check, right? But the check this is Joel, right? I mean, it is. Yeah, the guy with the hat is him. That's him, right? That's the guy who's in the hat holding the check. That's the guy who made this. And then this says Joel. So we can only assume that, I don't know if he drew this, but we can only assume that this was an inclusion of Joel's. Right? I don't know if he did the drawing, but he got the drawing done. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.